Well, good morning, everybody. And today on Friday, I wanted to pick up where I left off with on last night's in-depth analysis. We're going to start off with some satellite data for some of the bigger features in this near-term pattern. The sun rising here across the country really shows us the strength of that cutoff low that's going to just slowly move through the eastern part of the United States, hugging the Great Lakes here. But what will be very important to watch is the thunderstorms that could fire up later on today in parts of Iowa. We'll talk more about that in just a few seconds. We still have the lingering frontal boundary across the south, and it's going to be linking up with the moisture coming out of the southwest monsoon. Just a reminder, some of the storms that you see here are actually from that tropical system much earlier in the week that's kind of traversed over into this area. And you're going to see in a few moments that it's going to be that moisture that gets pulled right back around, potentially delivering a lot of very heavy rainfall centered somewhere around the Red River Valley of the South. In addition to this, we need to be on the lookout for who's going to miss a lot of this precipitation. So stay tuned for that in just a second here. But today's severe weather threat, Storm Prediction Center increased the risk for parts of Iowa, northern Missouri, western Illinois up to a slight risk today for severe storms. I'm going to go show you that by going to the high-res NAM model. So as we play throughout the day today, you can see the upper level low here by mid-afternoon getting into this evening, just generating a lot of storm cells out ahead of it. That's just very common. There's great upper level support in the wind shear profile, but also with these little ribbons of vorticity that move around, and they're just going to be able to get air to rise, and so you're going to see that. A lot of scattered storms throughout the East Coast. I mean, very widely scattered, but they're there, and then some heavier rain around North Carolina, but stretching back into the lower Mississippi River Valley. That's just going to be common, summer thunderstorm activity. Southwest monsoon continues, but watch right here, ready? Because this is the beginning, here it is, coming through New Mexico with our flood watches today of the potential for some very heavy rain this weekend that starts off in the panhandles and then spreads farther to the south as we get into next week. And all the while that this is developing, as we talked about last night, this upper level low from Friday into Saturday and Sunday provides some scattered storms for a big pocket here of the eastern Corn Belt and the Great Lakes. So we just come back to kind of our bigger picture outlook here from the WPC. And again, the upper level low going in this direction. There's just going to be areas in through here that pick up, maybe upwards of an inch of rain, but most locations about a half inch of rain. With the stalled out boundary and the flow coming around just like this in the southwest monsoon, we're going to keep a close eye on the potential for some heavy rains in this area extending all the way into the coastal Carolinas. That's going to be our heavy rain corridor. Just notice on the back side, though, this wedge in through here of locations that are going to be drier in this forecast. And that's going to be quite important to diagnose. We'll do that again in just a few seconds. If you want to know just kind of what the probabilities are of getting some heavy rain, this is the probability of getting 1 inch of rainfall. I'm going to step it up to 2 inches so you can see that corridor that's really has the high potential for the heaviest rain. See it right in through here. And this is the probability of 4 inches. So again, we're seeing in the models very consistent behavior on flooding rainfall situation given how dry the soil has been in this particular area. Looking at week 1 versus week 2. So models are somewhere north of 4 inches more than normal here, and you can see it still stays wet, of course, over to the Carolinas. A lot of this rain is coming through early in the time period with the cutoff low, but there is another chance for rain I'll show you in a few moments. But even into week 2, we see above average precipitation for a big section here of the south through the mid-south, southeastern Ohio River Valley as the broader pattern continues to favor more troughs coming through here. Just something to point out, I am going to be on the lookout here for late August, early September thunderstorm activity in the midwestern part of the United States. We'll talk more about that next week once we get closer to that, but just something I want you to be aware of. Okay, real quick, let's go look at the new European model data. So we've seen these features already through Saturday and Sunday. Now you're going to see that upper level low moving through, from the eastern Corn Belt into New England and the stalled out front right here. That's the one that's going to dump the heaviest rains through middle of next week right here across the Red River. Now just to make a point, the European model is by far the wettest model in this situation. But also by midweek next week, we have a low that's curling up into the Hudson Bay, and it's going to leave a frontal boundary through here. Could push up against the Rocky Mountains, adding some more rain here to parts of Montana and Alberta. But then that front could sag through by next week, kind of coming right here through the Midwest, delivering another chance at rain while we continue to see showers and storms for the south and southeast. But you put it all together, this is the map that kind of summarizes all of it. And the thing that is most concerning about this to me is this large pocket right here that's going to go over drier. Because there's been better rains as of late that came through Wisconsin and Michigan and pockets through the eastern Corn Belt. But there's been places in through here that have kind of been leapfrogged by these systems that are showing up quite dry. So when we look at that, just the month-to-date precipitation statistics, and I showed this last night in the long-range outlook, we can see this large area that has been missed a lot by these recent rains. Same thing for Florida, same thing for parts of New England. And there are pockets around that, but I'm just trying to identify those bigger areas. The new drought monitor has certainly picked up on that. And if you get a chance today, go to drought monitor, just Google it and you'll find this. It's very good to just kind of look over this map and assess a few things here. But just notice where the heaviest rains are coming through is where we've been in the deepest drought so far this year. On the temperature side of it, the risk for extreme heat today continues across the west. This is where the wildfire risk is going to be too. We did see yesterday quite a bit of wildfire smoke from some local fires throughout the Pacific Northwest. But playing from Friday's highs into Saturday and Sunday, the heat stays throughout the west. All right, but opens up into Montana while much of the rest of the country gets a cool down. New England, to be in the low 80s in late August is technically warmer than normal, but it's going to feel quite nice here with these warmer temperatures. But take a look at the temperatures. I mean, in Amarillo, 74 is a high on Monday. I mean, Amarillo's had so many days above 100. This is 30 degrees cooler than what they've been experiencing. And it lasts into Tuesday and Wednesday next week and all the way out to next Thursday. The models just continue that pattern. And we see here that work on our way out into into the fourth week of August and then getting into the beginning of September. The models do attempt to kind of open up more broad scale warmth across the northern half or northern tier of the United States. That's mainly just due to the northward position of the jet stream, which I think we can blame a lot on the very warm ocean temperatures in the North Pacific and North Atlantic. But that's overall the temperature pattern we're going to be seeing, which in early September, to be warmer than average here is not stressful heat. It is in the west, but not here in the Midwest over to New England. All right. Lastly, just three things I want to make sure that you take a look at. In the tropics, National Hurricane Center did bump this up to a 40% chance of development. They've maintained that through this morning's report. But that's it. We are watching some waves coming off of Africa, but not much to discuss. And in today's report, I do cover the new outlook from the CPC for September, seen here, and its similarities to the the ECMWF September outlook that we've got right here. So a couple of important things to look at. And then finally, I do want you to go in again and test out that new Growing Degree Day tool that I produced. I also put a little tutorial video about it, just in case some of you are having a little bit of trouble using that. And finally, I did include a big section in today's report about South America, some of the concerns I have about the way this monsoonal season might start. This is your 45-day outlook, which gets us all the way through the beginning of beginning of October is what you're looking at here. So we'll talk more about that next week. And until then, have a great rest of your weekend. Thanks.